is. Hugh Syme on the Fender Rhodes. Pilot, of course, this song takes me back to 1978, I think. And I just watched a program called Alternative 3. It was a BBC documentary on how basically the Earth was screwed. Big business had already traveled to, had set up on the dark side of the moon, and they had it was a whole thesis they had going. There were, as one of the Apollo flights went around to the dark side of the moon, one of the astronauts was heard saying, "What is that down there? Why didn't you tell us about?" And it went to white noise. And so this was all part of their hypothesis, and there were a lot of scientists who were missing from the scientific pool in that window. So out of that emerged a collection of songs, because I just thought it was a fascinating premise. And I didn't think that it was particularly far-fetched that big business would really end up screwing humanity. And here we are with global warming and big business, for the most part, not really giving a damn. So I found it hilarious that a song about big business screwing the planet and the human species, their own species for God's sakes, ended up being a hit in the discos. People were dancing to it. That always made me laugh. Doing the album was great fun. We did it at Phase One Studios in Toronto. It was the first album I engineered by myself, engineered and produced. And I did the bed tracks at Phase One, but then I rented a truck because I got tired of driving to Toronto. So I had this truck called Le Truck. It was from Montreal. Rented, the guy who owned it was Guy Charbonneau. And whenever Guy called me, it was, "Hello, Yayan, it's Guy." He never called me Ian. He couldn't wrap his mouth around it. So I was Yayan. And so I had his truck in my driveway. I mixed this song at 3 o'clock in the morning. I got up in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep. Made myself a cup of tea. Went out into the truck. Fired up the 24 track. And just started mixing. And by breakfast time, it was finished. And I loved that this was a modern song, and the lead instrument, the recorder, was a Renaissance instrument, which made me laugh. But it had such an odd sound. And it had sort of been in my consciousness because my brother Dave, a couple years later with the Bob and Doug stuff, when we came back from the States, when my dad was doing his PhD down there, when we came back to Canada, it seemed like all we ever saw on TV were National Film Board documentaries, and it'd be some guy in a canoe, and there'd be a lonely recorder, or for Dave, it was this lonely recorder and some guy paddling, talking about the pollution, killing the fish, and the mercury poisoning, killing the people, and no matter if it was about the beaver, an industrious little fellow, whatever the documentary was, here would be this lonely recorder thing. Maybe that's why the sound of the instrument was in my head when I'd written the song, and I was looking for something that worked around that turnaround of chord changes, which I figured out on my Fender Rhodes, and I loved the shape of it, sort of going from major to minor. And then when I had Bob Deutsch, a friend in Hamilton who ended up buying Grand Avenue Studios from Danny Lanois, both Danny and Bob came out that day. Danny and Bob Deutsch and Danny Lanois came out to Le Truck in my driveway while I was recording Bobby doing the recorder part, and it was the icing on the cake. And I thought Bobby Deutsch just aced it. This song ended up being a favorite across the country with radio. They played the daylights out of it, which was great. And it also ended up, it was one of Rick Moranis' favorite songs. Rick Moranis was a jock at Chum when that song was out, and a disc jockey at Chum. And actually, it was his request that I do pilot on the Second City show. So I did 2 songs there. One was Hold On from The Runner, and this song, Pilot, from the Glider album. That's the story of Pilot.